Hello, ladies and gents. This is Jamie Blosman, the host of the Femcanic Garage podcast. Welcome to the 5-part series of the dirty little secrets in the automotive and skilled trades industries. This blog series is brought to you by Chasidy Sisk Writing and Communication and Femcanic Garage. We have interviewed industry experts on topics related to diversity, equity, and inclusion. We're excited to share their knowledge and experience with all of you. Now let's get started. Hello everyone, this is Jamie B coming to you, and welcome to the dirty little secrets of the automotive and skilled trades industries. What are we doing right now? We have 3 brave gentlemen willing to sit down with me and have an open conversation about some of the quotes that are in the blog series that we launched last year for Women's History Month. And first and foremost, I want to thank all 3 of you for being willing to, 1, give us a little bit of your time, and 2, to be open about and have an open conversation about some of these topics. So first of all, I just want to say thank you very much, gentlemen. I truly appreciate you giving the time for this. I do want to cover a few things just so that the listeners and or watchers understand what this is and what it is not. What this is are 4 individuals having an open conversation where we are going to read one quote that we collected from women anonymously and ask them about experiences, both positive and negative, that they have had in the automotive and skilled trades industries. And we took those quotes and we provided each of the gentlemen a list of quotes that they could pick from. And there's going to be 2 that I'm going to read out loud, and then we'll have an open discussion about those quotes and the experiences that those women had. That's what this is. What this is not a male-bashing, bra-burning thing. This is about having adult, mature conversations about opportunities that maybe we could improve in our industry to make it more inviting for everyone. So let's start off with part 1 or week 1, which is resources. Now, I'm going to go ahead and read this first one out loud, and then I'm going to open it up for conversation and see what you gentlemen think about this. So this first quote comes from a former Autobody technician based out of Kansas, and she's approximately 30 years old. And this is what she shared with us. After graduating with an Automotive Collision Refinishing certification, I landed my first body shop job in January of 2011, detailing cars for $8.25 an hour. During my interview, they questioned whether I was in a relationship. They didn't want to hire a single woman who might cause problems by sleeping with the technicians. I also found out my male coworker, who was still taking classes to achieve his certification, was making $9 an hour, 75 cents more than me. They eventually gave me a raise. But the damn audacity to even mention my relationship status and thinking they could get away with screwing me hourly. It was a slap in the face. So you can tell this was anonymous, so they got pretty candid with some of these quotes. And I'm just curious, and I was looking at some of the facial reactions, and Kevin, you kind of stuck out. What were your initial thoughts when I was reading that out loud?
My initial thoughts were, you don't know where the body shop has been before she got hired. You don't know if they've had in the past a bad relationship issue, right? It could have been a female, it could have been a male. So it could have been, I'm not saying it's a question just for her, but they could have had a history with a situation. So they wanted to make her aware of it. Is it right or wrong? I don't know, because I'm not the body shop. So she could have read into it a little too deep, or it could have been legit. We don't know, because we don't know the other side of the story.
Now, what about the pay difference?
There's definitely something different there. If they're getting paid for the same job, they ought to get paid the same wages. I don't agree with that.
That one's pretty cut and dry, right? And especially if she's already achieved her certification, and regardless whether the other person's a man or a woman, right? Why are they making
Absolutely.
more than her and they don't even have their certification? So that seems kind of like a no-brainer. Like,
Yeah, that was a fair point on her end. Just to say that I agree. She ought to be paying the same.
That's pretty cut and dry. Brian or Burl, you guys want to weigh in on that? Or I'd love to get both of
Yeah,
your guys' thoughts.
yeah. Because the first thing in my head is isn't it literally a law? I don't not familiar with all the laws, but isn't it literally a law? You're not supposed to ask anyone about their relationship status at a job interview or something along those lines. Because yeah, it does make sense if they had a history with it, but it's still if it's gonna be you only ask every chick at the interview like, hey, you gonna sleep with anybody here or not, and all the dudes that get interviewed are just fine, that's where I see the problem. Aside from any currently existing laws,
I'm just curious. Have any of you been interviewed or interviewed someone and asked them their relationship status before?
No, never.
Nope.
No.
I almost think if a man, I mean, I'm just, I'm chuckling here. I'm envisioning, okay, a man interviewing another man, right? And imagine that conversation. So, are you in a relationship? Are you dating anyone? Like, it's like, I imagine the guy on the other end would be like, are you hitting on me? Are you trying to, right?
Yeah,
like,
I just don't
why
see it.
do you care about my relationship status? What are you getting at
I
here?
could probably see like a casual mentioning between, two dudes like, oh, like you married or something, like, yeah, I'm married. And then that's it.
In an
I could see
interview?
something like that.
Do you
I
think
have
in
no
an
idea.
interview
It's
that
been a while.
I've interviewed literally hundreds of people. I've in a previous life I did a lot of interviewing, and like that just never occurred to me. Like there's times where you like look down to see if they're wearing a ring or something, but I've never like verbalized it.
How
You know what I mean?
how casual is the interview too? I mean, are you talking a mom and pop body shop where they care about their employees that they've had for 30 plus years, or are you talking a corporate chain that is by the book, by the record? Just it's not as personal as a
Yeah,
small shop,
fair
a small
point.
family run shop that cares. Maybe it could be a small town atmosphere. So there's, I worked in a shop once that they sat down for lunch every day and they celebrated
Yeah,
everybody's birthday. It was the greatest thing ever. And it wasn't so cut and dry about how many hours they flagged or what they did.
yeah,
So we don't know the situation. I could see it in a small town shop interview. I could see somebody saying that. Is it right? It may not be right, but it's what they do. So they probably think it's right.
yeah. No, that's a fair point on large versus smaller. Burl, what do you? I almost did it again. Damn, Burl.
Yeah.
I will get that, my friend. I will get that.
Hey, listen,
What's your take? It's even
it's
on
all
your
good.
damn shirt. You think
I
I'd
know
be?
it, right?
God,
There it is.
come
It
on.
is.
Stick the
Yeah.
girls out, Burl. Come on.
Well, hey, listen. All right. So a lot of it, I'm going to kind of second what Kevin mentioned there. When it comes to a small town, I'm from a small town. I live in a small town. When I say small town, less than 15,000 people. I do have over 70 employees, so we do have a lot of employees, but it is a little more, it's I would say relaxed because I don't have an HR department. I guess I am the HR department when it comes to that. But I honestly I can't never remember asking somebody specifically if they were in a relationship. Now somebody may mention their kids or they may mention their wife, and during that conversation, I might say, "Oh, really? You got how many kids do you have?" That carries from there. But as far as explicitly asking someone, "Are you in a relationship?" I've never asked that question. It's not on any of our employment forms. I mean, I wouldn't think to ask that question. When it gets to the pay, it's for me, it's the same thing, male, female, whatever. If you're doing the same job, then you get paid the same. If someone does a better job, they usually get paid more. That's just part of it. But um, I don't see any reason at all why she should be making less than the other person, especially when they're the same amount of time.
Yeah. And I want to address the fact that there are concerns. Employers have concerns around, we're not in that week or conversation, but around sexual harassment and a lot of those things. And a lot of women have shared that they have not had the opportunity to get jobs for that reason, where it's more work, or that fear of the other employees, air quotes, behaving badly, whatever that may be. So that is a great point, and all of you bring up great points. And there's kind of different parts. I think what I'm hearing you say is the pay thing doesn't make any sense. If someone's has a certification, someone else does not have a certification, there's equal experience there. They're the person with the certification and equal experience as the other person should be making more, right? And then when the person does receive that certification, then it should level out. And that doesn't always happen, unfortunately. But sometimes I think we make our lives harder than what they need to be. But Kevin, that brings up a great point around small mom pop shops where there's a possibility that maybe it was misinterpreted in why they were asking, which I think that if that is the case, the recommendation I would make to any employer is clarify it. Right? To your point, Kevin, it's like, well, heck, in Burl, it's like, we're a small shop. Or, hey, we sit down and we have monthly get-togethers with all of our employees. Feel free to bring your boyfriend along. Or, you know what I mean?
Right.
Where if that's the direction it's going, that's one thing. But unfortunately, because a lot of women get turned away, and not even looked at, unfortunately. I think they, as women, have a tendency to maybe automatically assume it has to do with that. Now, what's unclear with this quote is if the shop owner explicitly said, I'm going through, it didn't explicitly say that the shop owner didn't want to hire a single woman who might cause problems, right? That may be something that she made an assumption on. So I think for women, ask more questions, right? And Kevin, Burl, and Brian, if you were interviewing a woman and you asked, like that question was asked, I think how you say it is important as well. But if the follow-up question is I'm not sure how that applies to the interview, I think that's a fair question for a woman to ask.
Yes.
Do you guys agree?
I agree.
Yeah,
Agree.
100%.
And how it's asked is important as well, right? The body language and how. I mean, if you sound bitchy and right, that's not going anywhere. But a professional, calm way, I think, is a very legitimate question to ask.
And she may not feel comfortable being in that work environment because it works both ways, right? She's interviewing for a job, but what if she doesn't feel comfortable with that company after the interview, for multiple reasons, not just that question?
Yeah.
So it may not be a good fit for her, and then it may not be a good fit for them. But it's multiple sides of the story, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and that's a great point, Kevin, because if she experienced that in the interview, right?
Yeah,
and she got
might
those
not like
feelings
it.
in the interview, why work there?
Right.
It may just not be a good fit. And I think that's something, that's a very valid point, is be picky about where you work for anyone, male, female, it doesn't matter. I know sometimes we feel like, oh, we have to take this job, but boy, holding out and finding the right fit can save you a lot of psychological and emotional stress, right? Take your time, find the right fit for you. Thanks for watching. By being open to learning more about these topics, you are fueling a movement that creates a safer and more inclusive environment for women in our industry. And for that, we thank you. It's up to all of us to keep this conversation alive. The only way to rid the industry of the darkness is to shine light on it. The entire 5-part blog series of the dirty little secrets of the automotive and skilled trades industries can be found on ChasidyRaySisk.com and Femcanic.com. Until next time, my friends.